It was a cold winter's night in the small town of Willow Creek. The wind howled outside, shaking the windows of the old houses and making the trees bend and sway. Most of the townspeople were tucked away in their warm homes, but one woman was out walking her dog. Her name was Quinn, and she had always felt safe in her town. But that night, something was different. As she walked down a deserted street, she saw two children standing in the distance. They were wearing old-fashioned clothes and had their heads down, as if they were shy. Quinn thought it was strange that they were out so late, but she assumed they were lost and needed help. She called out to them, asking if they were okay. The children slowly looked up, revealing their faces. That's when Quinn noticed something was off about them. Their eyes were pitch black, with no white or pupils. She felt a chill run down her spine and instinctively took a step back.
"Can we come with you?"
one of the children asked in a monotone voice. Quinn didn't know what to do. She wanted to help them, but something about them seemed off-putting. She looked around, hoping to see another person or a car, but the street was empty.
"Where are your parents?"
she asked, trying to stall for time.
"We don't have any,"
the other child replied, still in that strange, emotionless voice. Quinn's heart raced as she realized she was alone with two eerie children with black eyes. She knew she had to get away from them. She turned and ran as fast as she could, her dog barking and pulling on its leash. As she got farther away, she felt a sense of relief wash over her. But that feeling was short-lived. Suddenly, she heard the sound of feet running behind her. She turned and saw the two children were chasing her. Their black eyes seemed to glow in the darkness. Quinn ran faster, her heart pounding in her chest. She didn't know how long she could keep this up. But just as she thought the children were about to catch her, she stumbled upon an old abandoned house. She quickly pulled open the door and ran inside, slamming it shut behind her. As she tried to catch her breath, she realized the house was even more unsettling than the children. The walls were covered in strange symbols and the air was thick with an inexplicable energy. But she knew she had to hide. She found a closet and squeezed inside, her dog whimpering beside her. For what felt like hours, she stayed hidden in the closet. She didn't hear anything, but she could feel a presence in the house. It was as if something was watching her. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, she heard the sound of footsteps outside the closet. The doorknob slowly turned and the door creaked open. She held her breath, praying the children hadn't found her. But when she looked out, it wasn't the children. It was something far worse. A tall figure stood in the doorway, its eyes black as coal. It had long, thin arms and legs, and its skin was so white it was almost translucent. Quinn tried to scream, but no sound came out. The figure slowly moved towards her, its black eyes never leaving hers. It reached out with one bony hand, its fingers stretching towards her face. Quinn closed her eyes and waited for the worst. But when she opened them again, the figure was gone. She was alone in the closet, with only the eerie symbols on the wall and the feeling of something watching her. Quinn remained hidden in the closet for a while longer, too terrified to move. When she finally gathered the courage to venture out, she found the house empty. The strange symbols were still etched on the walls, but there was no sign of the black-eyed children or the pale figure that had chased her. Shaken to her core, Quinn ran back to her home, her dog still by her side. She tried to convince herself that it had all been a hallucination, that the children with black eyes and the ghostly figure were just her imagination. But deep down, she knew that what she had experienced was real. From that day on, Quinn became obsessed with researching black-eyed children and the paranormal. She discovered that there were countless reports of encounters with these strange, otherworldly beings. Some people claimed that the black-eyed children were demons, while others believed they were alien hybrids or ghosts. And the pale figure that Quinn had seen. Some said it was a slender man-like creature, while others had no explanation for it at all. Quinn's experience had changed her. She no longer felt safe in her town and was constantly looking over her shoulder, wondering if the black-eyed children or the pale figure would appear again. But she also felt drawn to the world of the paranormal, determined to understand what she had seen and experienced. Years later, as an adult, Quinn returned to Willow Creek. She still had nightmares about the black-eyed children and the pale figure, but she was determined to face her fears. She visited the abandoned house where she had taken refuge that fateful night, hoping to find answers. As she stood in the empty, silent house, she suddenly heard a faint whispering. It was as if someone was speaking to her, but she couldn't make out the words. She turned to leave, but then she saw something that made her heart stop. In the corner of the room, there was a drawing etched into the wall. It was a drawing of Quinn, her dog, and the black-eyed children, all with black eyes. And standing behind them was the pale figure. Quinn felt a cold sweat break out across her skin. She knew then that what she had experienced all those years ago was not just her imagination. It was something much, much worse. She fled the house and never returned to Willow Creek again. But the memory of the black-eyed children and the pale figure stayed with her, haunting her dreams and filling her with a sense of dread. And in the years to come, more and more people in Willow Creek reported encounters with these same eerie entities. It was as if they had been unleashed upon the town, and they would never leave.